Hi guys, Hari here. You might know me because I am normally a writer for Game Replays who writes strategy articles, and today, or tonight, given that it's actually like 1 in the morning, I guess that's still today, I decided I would do something a little bit different, which is to say that focusing on theory only really covers half of being good at HOM. The other half is execution, and I thought that possibly by making a video in-game, I would be able to focus on execution a bit more. One little problem came along. I actually originally planned on doing this, talking while playing. I ended up not talking near enough while basically trying to fight heroes, which is probably the most interesting part. So I decided I would just talk about the replay immediately after the game. So this is the first game that I did since having this idea. I'm not cherry-picking it or anything, although I guess if this goes poorly, you might never see it, and then it would be the second game that you guys will actually see. But then you'd never be hearing this either. So anyway, this is a single draft game. Normally I would play Banning Draft pretty much exclusively. However, once again, it's about 1 o'clock in the morning here in the US. So, and the record, my sleep schedule is still screwed up from getting back from Asia. I woke up about 45 minutes ago. So we're going to try to play the single draft game because it's a little bit better than all pick from my preference. I decided to start talking in the pick screen just so I could give a little bit of introduction, and then once we get into the game I will start talking about what actually happens there. So I guess we might as well just fast forward a little bit and get on into the game. There's not really too much else to say in the picking screen here. Yeah, that's basically all I've got. My hero choices were Andromeda, Gladiator, and I can't remember the third now even. I would have played Gladiator mid, but I just played Gladiator in the last game I played, which is the one where I tried talking while playing. So I didn't really want to do that. I could have played Andromeda. I really prefer to solo mid than to play support. It's probably greedy of me, so I'm aware of that. But this guy was willing to take Andromeda anyway. Okay, so we're starting in the base here. The very first thing we're going to talk about is building good habits. I love to click items, I really, really do. However, I am doing my best to get out of the habit to do that. They called for a remake, I don't really understand why, probably a joke. So we are going to use hotkeys for every item basically all the time. The only instance we will not is if we're really, really in a hurry, and then we will click if it's absolutely necessary, but it's even best to try to use hotkeys then. Anyway, I'm Moon Queen, so I just bought a few stat items and a little regen. I don't really feel that I need mana regen. I was debating it with myself, but I opted not to. I really just want a last hit and get a few levels in the lane so that I can get 6 and start ganking, or so that I can get a powerful enough Moonbeam that it actually has an effect. Because early on it doesn't really do much for the mana. Stats are important for Moon Queen because she has low HP and low mana. Well, her mana's not that bad, but she's very mana intensive, so it's low for what she does, and then yes, she is extraordinarily squishy. We could talk about how minor totems are the most efficient items in the game. At this point I'm not actually even planning on going power supply because of the nerf. But I bought these anyway just because I have room in my inventory, and then this I'll probably end up turning into a 6 strength. So we actually run into Kraken here, and fortunately there's a regen, so I can throw off a free Moonbeam, and then pick up the regen and be back to full. I probably would not have Moonbeamed him if the regen was not there, just because on a strength hero like that, what little damage is not worth it, as you can see by this point out. So at this point, we're going to focus on the lane. You'll see that I'm not really trying to commentate this game as in what's interesting. I'm just trying to follow myself because that was my idea, to give a first-person perspective. So I'm sure plenty of interesting stuff will be happening elsewhere that I will not be covering. Sorry. Anyway, we're up against a Hag. Hag has a little bit better range than us. I think she's probably just slightly better at last hitting than we are. This isn't something that bothers me terribly because I feel I'm probably a better player than whoever I'm up against in this lane because I am playing a low game. I guess I forgot to mention about that. I've basically not played for 6 months, which is why I figured I would be able to give a good perspective on being a baddie. Yeah, I'm not really sure there's much else way to say that because I'm pretty bad right now. My mechanics aren't very good, but my theory is still decent, which is why I figured I could apply that theory to execution. You'll you'll see I'm actually probably getting outlast hit by this wretched hag right now. Let's take a look at the stats screen. 2 to 3 versus 3 to 3. No, I guess it's perfectly even. I'm sure she'll probably gain an edge on me. She should. This player is actually pretty decent. Probably a little bit better than I expected him to be. He's playing up a little far, so I'm going to use Moonbeam to harass him, just because I had full mana, and it's ideal to basically be as efficient as possible with your regen, which is to say that I'm always regenning mana, and if I have a full mana bar, I'm not actually gaining any of that regen. We don't have wards, so I'm not really going to be able to worry about the 2-minute rune coming up. Once I get a bottle, I might be concerned with where it was. Again, we don't have wards, which is going to make it a little bit more difficult. Hag didn't start with a bottle either, but like me, she started with slightly less items, although she actually started less. I saved about 100 gold. She actually would have had to save about 300 gold, so she's really trying to get the bottle quickly, which I think is a good decision, because she's been able to last it fine without enough stats, or without more stat items, so it really hasn't been a problem. And as Moon Queen, I don't really have the range to harass her with an auto attack very much. Anytime I'm going to harass her, I'm going to have to Moonbeam her first, and then run in and get some hits, which is what you'll see I probably end up doing just in a little while here. There's not really a ton to focus on as far as last hitting goes. This is a part of execution that needs to be improved, but again, there's not really much I can tell you. Last hit better, I mean, it's just practice, practice, practice. Like I said, my last hitting here isn't that great, because I am only about 6 months rusty. Let's see. We actually were able to get our bottle. So we purchased that bottle just by pressing 2. Oh yeah, I should mention quickly how I hotkey my units. Everyone can do it differently. I'm just going to explain mine. I always set my hero to 1, so control group 1, and then I set my courier to 2. You can see here we're just harassing. So in order to get myself an item, I'm just going to press 2, and then B to bring up the shop, and then the bottle, I know very well because it's an item I purchase frequently in the middle, is just RR. And then I press escape, E, hold down shift, or in my case I actually have alt. I'll explain that in a second. So E, hold down shift, R, so that the courier, oh, we're actually going to kill this person. I guess I should have been talking about that. I didn't think that would happen this soon. Basically, she just overplayed a bunch. It was pretty poor play on her part, and I was able to pick her off. She was just being too aggressive when she had too low of HP. I certainly don't mind being aggressive like that, because I want to burn mana now, since I was at level 4 and have a bottle. Okay, so yeah, courier. We're just going to use Bithaki is basically it. And E, shift R, so make it come to me and then immediately go back. So now we're going to go check runes, because we have this bottle and we were at low HP. Rune's not top. We're going to swing bottom now. No. She's only level 4. I guess it was safe to run through the river there. It might have been better to run up along there if our opponent was a little higher level. But yeah, so the idea back there that I didn't really talk about in lane, which is unfortunate, but once I'm done giving introductions, I should be a little more on top of things, was that as soon as I got my bottle, I want to start burning my mana. Level 2 Moonbeam is reasonably efficient. I mean, it's not that great. I would have much rather have been level 3 before I started harassing with it, but she was playing up so much that I didn't really have a choice, so I was just going to start harassing using my bottle mana. And now we're back to lane. She's level 5. She caught up while I went to get the rune, but that's fine because I have a regen rune. Now I'm playing a little bit aggressively, especially given that there's someone missing from top. This is probably just me feeling like I have her dominating the lane and wanting to assert that. Also, another thing I should mention is my stat build real quick. I went 1 point in stats at level 2. I think this is pretty much a no-brainer. Again, her stats are just so low she could really use it. Here we actually were able to burn a health potion of hers. And then I went Lunar Glow level 4. Okay, here's where me overplaying punishes me a little bit. I'm actually getting ganked by a Sand Wraith. I'm going to try to burn my health potion. Yep, that fails. Try to burn my regen as well. That fails as well, and I die. He had boots, which is why he was able to keep hitting me when I was running. I don't actually have boots yet. I probably had the money to get them, and should have, but I did not. So that could be a mistake. The big mistake there, again, was just overplaying. It was basically a sense of overconfidence by having First Blood, or not First Blooded, but having gotten the first kill in the lane solo against the opposing hero. I kind of had assumed a dominant role in the lane, which would be fine if we had wards, actually, because if we had wards top, well, actually that's not really true, because the gank came from here. I probably wouldn't have seen that anyway. So I was probably just overplaying too much. Still, though, we should probably have wards. We don't. We actually do have a courier, so I can't complain too much about the pubs buying support items in this game. Anyway, as I was saying, I just got Lunar Glow at 4. It's good for last hitting, obviously. Solar stats, but I just figured I would start Lunar Glow a little bit earlier. Typically, I would probably go stats at level 2 and 4 on her, but this game I did it a little bit differently, probably because I'm soloing. I don't really know. So anyway, there should be a 6-minute rune that we should be worrying about, but we do have a full bottle. Yep, here we go. One rule of thumb, well, we'll get into that another time that it actually comes up, because I think it probably will later in the game, although I don't know for sure. So anyway, we have our ult. There's fighting at top, so this is basically a perfect opportunity, because these people are going to chase our teammates down, which is going to let us emerge from the woods and pop our ult. We should get 2 kills here. I would be disappointed if we do not. So we're running in now, yeah, and here it goes. Ult popped, making sure we get both of those, and then running after this guy. He has boots, we have boots. I think our base move speed is a bit higher than his, so we should be able to catch him. We got fogged actually right there, otherwise he probably should be dead. Alright, so what happens here is I run around this corner, and I'm thinking as I turn this corner, if I can't see him in here when I get through the corner, that means he had to turn left, because around left it would be less likely that he had line of sight. If he ran right, I should have still been able to see him on the hill as I was coming through the corner. So my reasoning was, if I don't see him, and I'm thinking this as I run up here, if I don't see him here, he had to have gone left to try to juke me. So I went left, turns out he just went right, and he was just a little bit faster than I thought he was. So I guess a mistake on my part, but at least it explains what I was thinking, and it's important to always have some sort of thought process going, some justification for your actions. So we're just going to go back to lane. Alright, here you can see I'm actually using my mana to kill the creeps a little bit faster. This isn't the most effective thing ever with Moon Queen. It'd be better with a hero like Defiler, Hag, etc. because I want the 8-minute rune spawn, and I want to clear this out as fast as possible. I have excess mana, because if I get the 8-minute rune, I have plenty of extra bottle charges to get more mana. It's not top, so we can get it bottom. But the good thing here is, the wave was pushed up, actually. Now we're just going to have to probably sacrifice experience, because now that we committed ourselves to checking the top rune, we're really going to want to get the bottom one, otherwise we've wasted a lot of time for nothing. And I'm really obsessed with efficiency. Okay, so we pick up another regen and bottle, and then we're probably going to head back to lane. We should probably get to farming a little bit more. Getting level 11 is really important. At level 11 you can really gank pretty fearsomely. Getting 4 beams, level 6, is primarily important because it makes it a lot harder for people to gank us, because we can run into the woods and it's risky for them to follow them.